um, uh, the people closest to them have noticed something they were not supposed to notice. Not because anyone was being deliberately indiscreet, because some things past a certain threshold of genuine intensity simply stop being concealable, regardless of how deliberately someone tries to manage their own expression. The specific involuntary quality of how a person lights up or stills or changes in their posture when the right subject comes up, the way a name enters a conversation with a different quality of weight attached to it than the names that do not carry that kind of cargo, the specific thing that happens in a person's face when they are asked a casual question about someone they are not casual about at all. The friends have noticed, and the noticing has produced in them something I want to name carefully before we go anywhere else in this reading. Not amusement exactly, though there may be some warmth in it. Not concern, though genuine care is part of it. Something more like the specific quality of response that arises in people who are close to someone when they witness that someone in the grip of something larger than ordinary and considerably more genuine than what that person usually shows. The specific, slightly tender quality of being close enough to see something real in someone that the person themselves is still trying to manage. They have seen it, and what they have seen is that this person loves you, not in the light, provisionally, keeping options open way that people sometimes love people they are not sure about, in the specific, overwhelming, beginning to spill out, regardless of effort to contain it, way that belongs to the genuine article. Let me walk you through what the cards confirmed about all of this. Let me describe what I felt the moment this energy opened, because the initial impressions were immediate and they had a quality that I want to share before anything else. I felt the very specific warmth of something that has grown past its container, not the sharp, dramatic, volcanic version of feeling that spills over in moments of crisis or confrontation. The slower, gentler, more inevitable spilling of something that has simply grown too large for the space that was keeping it private. The way water, given enough time and enough depth, eventually finds the fissures in any vessel. What this person feels has reached exactly that depth. I also felt something about the observers, the friends who have been witnessing this, that I want to name. I felt a kind of delight in their energy, not the mean spirited delight of people enjoying someone else's discomfort. The specific, warm, slightly conspiratorial delight of people who are close enough to someone to want good things for them and who have just witnessed what they recognize as genuinely good wanting to happen. The delight of people who see something real and who are glad that it is real. The first card in this reading arrived in the position representing what is actually happening inside this person in relation to you, the interior state that the friends have been catching glimpses of, and I want to describe it with the care it deserves. This card shows a crowned figure seated in the fullness of an abundant emotional life, surrounded by cups in their fullest possible expression, with the quality of someone who is in the settled, established, genuinely inhabited version of something rather than in its beginning or its becoming. This is not the excitement of new feeling. This is the deep rooted, completely inhabiting quality of feeling that has matured to the point where it is simply who this person is in relation to you rather than something they are actively experiencing as new. What I am reading in this card about what is happening inside this person is something I want to name specifically. What they feel for you is not a phase, not something that arrived recently with a specific, slightly uncertain quality of something that has not yet proven its duration. This feeling has been present for long enough that it has settled into the foundational level of their experience. It is not something they are feeling, it is something they are. I also want to speak to what the water element of this card tells me about the quality of what has been growing. The cups govern the genuine interior life, the emotional world in its most authentic form. And the fullness depicted in this card, the abundance of cups surrounding the figure, speaks to something that has been filling and filling and filling over a sustained period of time without adequate outlet. The accumulation of genuine feeling that has nowhere to go because the expression of it has been, for whatever reason, deferred. That accumulation is what the friends have been witnessing. The specific overflow of something too full for its container. The second card arrived in the position representing how the love has been revealing itself despite the effort to manage it. The specific mechanism by which the friends have been catching sight of something that was supposed to stay private. And this is the card that carries the heart of the slightly embarrassed, slightly delightful quality of the situation the reading is describing. This card shows two figures in genuine, joyful, completely uninhibited celebration, moving together in the specific quality of people who are in the grip of something larger than ordinary social inhibition, whose joy has exceeded the level where they can effectively manage its expression for an external audience. The quality is exuberant and warm and completely genuine and also completely visible. What I am reading in this card about how the love has been revealing itself is something I want to name with warmth rather than precision, because the warmth is more accurate to what is actually happening. The joy of thinking about you has been too large to be contained in ordinary social expression. When your name comes up, or when something adjacent to you comes up, or when anything that lives in the same neighborhood of this person's interior as you do surfaces in conversation, there is a quality of response that is simply visible to anyone paying any attention. A brightening, a quality of aliveness that is different from the quality present in the rest of the conversation. Something that the friends who have been paying attention to this person for long enough to know what their ordinary is have been clocking for some time now. I also want to speak to the number of cups in this card and what they suggest about the duration of what has been accumulating. This number in the suit that governs feeling sits at the place of fulfilled desire, of having what one actually wants. The friend's shock is, in part, the shock of people who have been watching someone close to them in the specific, slightly desperate quality of wanting what they are not allowing themselves to have, and who are now watching the wanting overflow its banks to the point where the having seems inevitable rather than impossible. Does this feel like it is landing on something real, Virgo? The specific quality of someone in your life whose feeling for you has become visible to the people around them in a way that the feeling itself may not yet have been fully visible to you directly. Let me know in the comments. The third card arrived in the position I read as what is specifically shocking the friends, the specific quality of what they are witnessing that is producing the shock the title of this reading describes. And I want to describe this carefully because I think the precision matters. This card shows a great announcement, an irrevocable declaration, something that has crossed from the interior world into the shared world in a way that cannot be called back. This is the card of something that has been said or expressed or made undeniably visible in a context where it was not supposed to be fully visible, of genuine, significant feeling breaking through the surface of ordinary social exchange in a way that changes the context. What I am reading in this card about what has shocked the friends is something I want to say with specificity. It is not that they suspected this person felt something for you. It is the magnitude of what they are now understanding is actually present. The friends, until recently, probably had a sense of something, the general impression that the subject of you produced an unusual quality of response in their friend. What has now broken through the surface is not the existence of the feeling, but its actual depth and its actual weight. And the depth and the weight are what have produced the shock. Because what they are witnessing is not someone who has a crush or a preference or an interest. What they are witnessing is someone who is in the full, genuine, non-casual sense of the word, in love. I also want to speak to the irreversible quality of this card because I think it matters for how you understand where things are. Once the friends have seen this, once this person's feeling has been made this visible to the people closest to them, the quality of what is possible going forward has changed. The friends now know, and people who know things about the people they care about do not unknow them. The visibility has happened. And visibility at this scale and with this quality of authenticity tends to move in a specific direction. From here, I want to speak to something about what happens in the dynamics of a friend group when they collectively witness something of this magnitude in one of their members, because I think it is relevant to what is going to happen next. Friends who have seen what these friends have seen do not simply observe and say nothing. They respond. They say things to their friend in the gentle, slightly teasing, clearly you need to do something about this way of people who care and who can see plainly what their friend may be too inside the feeling to see with the same clarity. They become, in other words, part of the mechanism by which the private moves toward expression. The visibility to the friends is not a separate story from the eventual visibility to you. It is a chapter in the same story, and it tends to be a chapter that comes relatively early in the sequence that ends with the person whose feeling is overflowing, finding themselves at your door with what they can no longer continue to contain. Inhale with me, Virgo, because the fourth card is the one that I think you most specifically need to receive. This card shows a figure in complete, quiet, self-possessed authority, sitting with the full quality of someone who knows their own worth and their own depth in a way that does not require external announcement. This is the energy of genuine, settled, unperformative knowing. This is a court figure at the pinnacle of the water element's development, someone who has reached the fullness of what emotional maturity and emotional authenticity produce. And this card is describing you. What I am reading in this card in the context of this reading is something I want to name clearly. The reason this person's love for you has become impossible to contain is not accidental. It is the specific natural response of a genuine interior to the specific genuine quality of what you actually are. You have not sought to produce this effect. You have not been strategizing toward it. You have simply been yourself with the specific quality of depth and authenticity and genuine presence that is simply who you are when you are not managing anything. And that quality has done what genuine quality does, which is to produce in the people who encounter it with their full attention a response that is proportionate to its actual depth. The friends are shocked by the magnitude of what they are witnessing. The magnitude is proportionate to what you actually are. That is not coincidence. That is the specific, reliable mechanism by which the real thing produces the real response. I want to address something specific about Virgo and the experience of learning that someone's love for you has been more visible to the people around them than it has been to you directly, because I think this particular kind of discovery produces a specific interior experience that is worth naming. There is a specific, slightly disorienting quality to learning that something significant has been happening in your vicinity at a level that you were not fully privy to. You are someone who notices things. The precision of your perception is one of your most defining qualities. The discovery that something of this magnitude has been going on and that you have been perhaps the last to know its full scale can produce a momentary quality of what did I miss, rather than the simpler experience of simply receiving good news. I want to offer you this. You did not miss it entirely. I am sensing that you have been picking up on something about this person's orientation towards you in the specific peripheral, not yet fully nameable way that your perception tends to register things before your conscious mind has caught up to what your body already knows. The full picture, the friends have noticed, cannot hide it any more picture, may be arriving with more specificity than you previously had access to. But the general sense of something being present in this person's field when you are in the proximity of their thinking has not been entirely invisible to you. You knew, not everything, but something. And the reading today is providing the fuller resolution of a picture you have already been seeing in lower definition. The fifth card arrived in the position of what this visibility and this magnitude of feeling are building toward in the actual material, visible life that you and this person share. And I want to describe it plainly because the cards are not being ambiguous. This card shows a chariot moving forward with complete, unhesitating directional authority, driven by someone who has resolved any internal ambivalence about direction and who is now simply moving. The water element governs this card, pointing toward the emotional domain as the one in which this forward movement is primarily operating. And the quality of the movement is not tentative, it is settled. It is the movement of someone who has come to terms with what they feel and who is now, in whatever way the timing allows, going in the direction of it. What I am sensing in this card about where this is building toward is something I want to name specifically. This person is moving toward you, not immediately in the sense of having already knocked on your door, in the specific sense of having made an internal resolution that the direction of their movement is toward you rather than away, and of being in the early stages of executing that resolution in whatever way the circumstances of their life permit. The friends seeing what they have seen is not the end of this story. It is the moment when the private became semi-visible. What is coming next is the moment when it becomes directly, specifically, person to person visible. When the feeling that has been overflowing into the friend's awareness overflows into the only space that actually counts, which is the space between this person and you. I also want to speak to something about the timing of when the chariot's movement tends to arrive in visible form, because I think naming it helps you hold the period you are currently in. The internal resolution that this card is describing as already having occurred, the settling of any ambivalence about direction, tends to precede external action by a period of practical arrangement. This person is not standing still. They are figuring out how. The how is the only remaining question. The where the in what direction, the toward what. All of that is settled. What has not yet been settled is the specific form of the approach and the specific timing of the execution. And those practical questions tend to resolve themselves on a relatively short timeline once the internal question has been answered as completely as this card is indicating it has been answered. Before I close, I want to say something about what this reading ultimately confirms, and I want to say it simply without excessive elaboration. Someone loves you in the full, genuine, serious, cannot be contained anymore sense of that word. The people closest to them have been seeing it and being shocked by the depth of it, and the depth is proportionate to what you are, which is someone who simply by being yourself has produced in another person a quality of feeling that is too real and too large to remain private. You did not do anything to manufacture this. You did not strategize toward it or perform toward it or arrange the circumstances to produce it. You simply were what you are, with the fullness and the authenticity of someone who is genuinely, completely themselves. And this person encountered that genuine, complete version of you, and their interior responded in the specific, overwhelming way that genuine things tend to respond to genuine things. I also want to name something about what this kind of love, the kind that shocks the witnesses by its magnitude, tends to produce in the person who is receiving the knowledge of it. It tends to produce a kind of quiet settling of something that may have been uncertain. A quality of the picture coming into focus that was previously slightly blurred, not a dramatic revelation, but a specific grounded recognition of something that, once confirmed in this way, feels both surprising and, underneath the surprise, somehow exactly right. The kind of thing you did not quite let yourself believe was fully real until the outside world confirmed it. This is yours. Fully and without qualification. The only question remaining is what you do with the knowledge that it is real. If this reading names something you have been sensing in the space between you and a specific person without having the full confirmed picture of its magnitude, please share it with a Virgo who might be in the same position and who needs to hear that what they are picking up on is not wishful imagination but accurate perception. And leave a comment. I want to hear who this is about for you and whether the friends in question have been giving you any signals you had not quite been able to fully interpret until now. I read every single comment, and I hold what is shared in this space with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo, the people closest to them have seen it. The seeing has shocked them. And what has shocked them is the magnitude of something that simply stopped being containable. The magnitude is proportionate to you. That is the whole story. And it is arriving directly soon.